I've been away for a little while, just haven't felt like recording videos. Got a new job and I've been extremely tired. So it's been about a month since I've uploaded something. But last week I decided to actually set up my desk. So here we are. And I would say a new microphone, and you can't see it even though I'm pointing at it. And I know I'm on a tiny screen, mainly because there's lag between the microphone's input and what the camera's picking up. So whatever, just wanted to actually be a personal screen. But I actually bought this Yeti microphone back, I want to say in 2020, and I think I've used it once. So instead of me relying on the microphones on the MacBook, I figured I'd come here, use this thing, and hope for the best. In addition to telling you to subscribe, I'd like to tell you about today's sponsor, Vaseline Lotion, or Vaseline, however you want to pronounce it. And for those of you who don't look like me, and I think you know what I'm talking about, skincare is important. Daily moisturizing is important. Use lotion. It doesn't have to be cocoa butter. It doesn't have to be this brand, but you need to put lotion on your hands and the rest of your body. There are plenty of YouTubers out there who do in-depth hands-on things and the camera's really focused on their hands and you can just see how dry they are. They should be the ones that are actually sponsored by some of these companies just to show how moist your hands can be without feeling too oily. So I'd say Vaseline, definitely a good option to consider. Now back to the video. Now the topic of today's video is something from the Vergecast, and in fact I'm going to actually do this for a couple of their podcasts, or at least a couple clips from one or two different podcasts. This gentleman has questions about the iPhone and the Google Pixel Fold. The hosts give their opinions, and of course I have my opinions on his question, his desires, as well as the host response. So let's listen to what he has to say, and then I'll give some feedback.
Welcome back. Let's get to the hotline. As always, the number is 866-VERGE11. The email is vergecast@theverge.com. We love all your questions, and we try to answer at least one on the show every week. Right now, it is extremely phone season, and we have a question about phones.
Hey guys, my name's Keith, and ever since I was a teen, I really loved technology and smartphones. I would be the type of person that would upgrade my phone multiple times in a couple of years. But since I've gotten older, I've gotten a family, disposable income just doesn't exist the way it did anymore. But fortunately for me, I get an upgrade this year. Now, as somebody that's been kind of a techie guy, unfortunately, the simplicity of the iPhone, the ecosystem has been nice, mainly because of messaging, but also because it works with every case and it's easy to just Apple Pay things. My ask of you is to sell me on why I should get the new Pixel Fold or the new Pixel Pro XL over what Apple shipped. I want to buy into the ecosystem that Google offers. I have a fully Google Home. I'm invested in that ecosystem, but the messaging has always kept me with an iPhone. Unfortunately, this year I didn't think they really showed me why I should get a new iPhone, but I'm due an upgrade. So should I spend another 3 years with Apple, or 2 years, whatever the contract is, or should I finally make a move to be my true teenage self, the nerd I always want to be?
All right, as I sit here.
All right, now, before we hear the host response, I just wanted to say a few things because I feel like I talk about one friend in particular, but personally, I appreciate when somebody values your opinion. I mean, it's nice to feel like somebody actually cares about what you have to say. But what I do hate is when people are like, oh, sell me on this idea. And I'm like, you're a grown person, okay? And the way that the internet works today, you have access to the same resources that I do. So yeah, it sounds like this gentleman did watch the Apple release of the iPhone 16 as well as the Google Pixel event that happened, I want to say back in August. And yeah, it sounds like he's on the fence. So I get it. So yeah, he's looking for some advice. But yeah, I just hate the way that he said it, which is me being nitpicky. Sell me on it. No, like I don't have to. I have opinions, and if you want to listen to them, great. But at this particular point in time, for some reason that just really, really bothers me. Okay, but to what he actually said, though, he said disposable income isn't what it used to be. He identifies the fact that iMessage lock-in is real. And he also mentions that he has, I guess, a ton of Google-related home products. And the only thing that's really missing to, I guess, solidify him being in an ecosystem is a phone. So he enjoys the messaging aspect of the iPhone, but I know that the iPhone doesn't work as well with Google Home products as if he were to have some type of Android device. And I can imagine that a Pixel would be the best Android device to function in some of those Google Home things. I don't have any Google Home smart speakers or anything, so I can't definitively speak to the fact that a Pixel is better when it comes to that type of integration as compared to any other type of Android device. But I figured those are the things that we really need to pay attention to in this particular request. So let's listen to what the host has to say, and then I'll give a little more feedback.
With two phones on my desk, an iPhone and a Pixel 9 Pro Fold that I'm deeply in love with, I too have this question. Allison Johnson's back. Hi, Allison.
Hi.
Okay, I want to do this in two parts. The first thing I want to do is I want to throw away all urge to hedge and be reasonable, and I want you to make the most aggressive case for switching to the Pixel that you possibly can, and then we're going to come back around and decide if this is actually a good idea.
Okay.
But let's start with that. If sell me and sell our friend Keith on switching to the Pixel.
Ooh, okay. Well, you got to go for the Fold. I mean, it's two phones. It's twice the phone.
So I'm going to stop right there, and we're going to come back. So one, he said disposable income isn't what it used to be. So in my opinion, a $1,700 phone, one, isn't a good purchase for anybody, but especially it sounds like this gentleman is a family man, and dropping that type of cash on a device probably isn't in his best interest. Now, I know the way that things work now, you have I'll call them contracts, but it's really you pay for the device over the course of however many months. Payment plan, I guess, is the word that I was trying to use. So it might only be $30 a month for the next 6 years or whatever that math comes out to, because it's almost twice the price of a modern flagship smartphone. So it's like, okay, instead of 2 to 3 years, it's going to be 4 to 6 years if you're paying that same amount. So I already disagree with the fact that, the Fold, from a price standpoint, is the way that this gentleman should go. Second, and I've made a video about this, and I feel like David Pierce, who is one of the other hosts, might mention it in this one, or it might be another clip that I have for another video. But the video that I made probably over a year ago now was essentially just saying, I understand why folding phones exist, because phones have just gotten too big. But having owned just one folding phone, I will tell you that it is too much work for most people to have to open the device to get functionality out of it. So the phone I had was the Microsoft Duo. It did not have an exterior or external screen, so I had to open it to get any use out of it. And for me, I was just like, why would somebody want to do this? Like, it's nice, I guess, to have two screens like this when it's open, but the actual functionality of it is more work than what most people are willing to put in. So you look at almost every other folding phone, it has an external screen. And over the last several iterations of these devices, between Samsung, Google, OnePlus, I think Huawei, and maybe some other companies that I'm just not thinking about, they've made it so that the external screen is a good aspect ratio to the point where you don't need to even open the phone to use it. So the external screen is essentially the same experience as when you have just a regular slab phone. Another reason to just not open the device. So one, it's too much work to do it, and I know you can't. I mean, you can see my hands. It's simply just it's just doing that, but that's more work than what most people want to do. But then now two, because you have that screen on the outside that gives you full functionality, and a big enough screen to do everything that you want to do, why would you open the screen? And yeah, again, I can't remember if it was this video clip or another one, but yeah, one of the hosts says, yeah, one of my friends is using it and he never opened it anyway. And it's just like, well, then why buy it? If you got to the point where the phone screen on the outside is good enough to use without having to open the phone to use the internal screen, why buy a phone that opens? So I think that's two cases. Phone's too expensive, not going to feel like opening it. Cool. The other thing that I wanted to mention briefly is I forget. So let's get back to what she is saying.
You get a front phone and an inside phone. No, I think
Got you. Okay, I remember what I was going to say. So even for those people who think they need more screen real estate, which is why you would want to get a phone that opens to 7 inches or whatever the dimensions are, it's still a relatively small touchscreen, and that user experience is not great. So yeah, if you think, okay, well, I'm going to maybe enjoy these YouTube videos better or somehow be more productive with the slightly larger screen, but one that is significantly smaller than a laptop screen or a monitor screen, you're being a little delusional. Now, I know this is my opinion, and there might be a few people out there who are like, oh, actually, with the bigger screen, I'm able to get this much more done. And I'm like, cool, I'm happy for you. But I get maybe you're out and about on the go or something, I don't know. But to that point, I'd say, well, why can't you just use a laptop? And then I know somebody will say, well, I don't feel like carrying 2 devices. Okay, well, fine. I'm not going to go back and forth with you. There's this hypothetical person here. But yeah, my opinion is they've been dead on arrival. I mean, I guess it's good to see that companies are still trying to innovate. And was it Huawei that has the tri-folding screen now? Cool. Thing's $2,800. Okay, doesn't make any sense to buy that. But again, it's nice that the technology exists. From a consumer standpoint, I don't really think it's worth much to anybody.
if you are into tinkering and if you're into I can get my phone to do this and I couldn't do that before, the 9 Pro Fold is the poster child for that. The way you can use the inner screen, there's just there's really nothing else like it.
And I don't like criticizing, but it's just from hearing what she's saying, you're not selling me. I mean, you can do this. Well, what can I do with that? that makes it worth $1,700. Now, I do know recently, I think Google added support for windowing. I think if you connect it to a monitor, and you can then window. But at that point, it's just I might as well just use a laptop. But again, only having one device, understood that might be more optimal for some people. But even from what she's just said, the Pixel is the phone if you like to tinker. I don't think I can necessarily agree with that statement. I mean, aside from this aspect of the fact that it can fold, the Pixel, I think, would probably be one of the last phones I'd want to use if I wanted to truly tinker, which as Android has matured, I think the amount of tinkering that people do has gone down. I mean, of course, there's still people that do a lot of stuff, but I feel like Android's got mature enough to the point where it includes almost everything you think you'd want to do, and then you'll get that similar experience on a lot of Android devices. So let's see what else she has to say, and then we'll wrap this one up.
Is kind of how I would put it. And, RCS on iOS 18 might alleviate a little bit of the messaging woes. Yep. There's still, really not a substitute for FaceTime or any of that. But yeah, 2 times the phone. That's what I got.
All right. So 2 times the phone, also 2 times the price. For a gentleman who doesn't have disposable income, I think that is just absolutely wrong advice. Should have just gotten, if this were just the regular Pixel 9 Pro or even just the regular Pixel 9, both phones I think would serve this man's use cases perfectly fine. Now, what she did mention, and I'm happy that she did, is the fact that with an entire operating system upgrade or update, Apple finally decided to support RCS. I did heckle quite a few individuals over the course of this past week to update their phones so that our messaging experience was better. And a lot of them did. Some of them gave me some pushback. Cool. But yeah, a lot of them upgraded, and there are a few that have yet to do so, which, hey, it is what it is. Now, the last thing she did mention was the fact that there's really no substitute for FaceTime. Just use a different app then, okay? Messaging is one thing. Like, I really understand, like, getting people to switch messaging apps, almost impossible to do. But to get somebody to download an app that you guys use sparingly, as opposed to you having to buy a $800 plus phone, I think if they are somebody who cares about you, they will do that. I mean, they will continue to FaceTime with whoever they choose to FaceTime with. And for you, they'll say, hey, you want a video chat? Let's use whatever app that we both decide to use, whether it's Google Meet, WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger video, whatever you want to call it, or it's something else. But staying in the ecosystem for iMessage, I understand. With RCS now being supported on the iPhone, I say, hey, maybe that grip is loosened a little bit. But staying in the ecosystem for FaceTime, absolutely not. You need to just use a different app. So, in conclusion, yeah, I disagree with her recommendation right there. The Pixel 9 Fold Pro, or whatever the heck it's called, too expensive for anybody, especially somebody who doesn't have a ton of disposable income. I understand that $1,700 phone will probably be paid for either in some type of bill credit or by him actually over the course of the next 5 to 6 years. But I hope he is able to find something that actually suits his case. So that'll be it. If you've made it this far, thank you very much. And consider subscribing.